this is my stepping stone into being strong, into understanding that food is fuel, and to knowing that like my macros are my macros and I am going to eat them because they make me feel good, they make me look good. And I think you really helped me mentally in that aspect.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. I'm here with Anna, and today we're going to talk about roommate difficulties. And you just let me know that you didn't have any roommates in college because you
Yeah.
lived with your
Yeah.
parents, but were your brothers or sisters or anyone crazy loud while you were trying to sleep?
Right. So I feel so, yeah, I would consider them my roommates because I am a very like independent person as it is. So like coming out of my room and like having my breakfast in the morning is usually one of those things I want to be like my downtime, my quiet time. But like my dad's up and then my mom gets up shortly after. So in terms of sleep, like I'm the early riser in the family. So like I feel like I have late nights and early mornings just with my schedule, especially in college. Like you're staying up late for school, your classwork, all of that jazz. And then sometimes you have a late night lift. I usually like to get up early, get my meals in or my breakfast in, and then head to the gym and then just have like classes all the rest of the day. So I think what like I struggled with most, like with the roommates wise, is just like the sense that like it's not all your schedule or no schedule, like you have your family to consider. Like your mom might be in the kitchen, my dad might be in the kitchen, like my sister. Like if I want like some peace time, like you can't really get it when you're living at home. Which has its like pros and cons. Like I absolutely love my family and they have been nothing but supportive of everything I do, but there are days that are just like, oh my gosh, she's in the kitchen again, or like, oh my gosh, the smell of egg whites in the morning, like every single morning, like at 5:30 a.m. No one wants to smell that when they first get up. um, so I think like for them, it's more so like they are just like acclimating to my schedule and like what I'm doing. And I think it like really helped me when I stopped doing things like all traditionally and I got like a rice cooker and an air fryer and like I started using the barbecue outside. So everything was just very planned accordingly on how I was going to make everything in bulk. And then just like I won't have to step in the kitchen again because everything's made. I think that made like everybody's life easier. And even if I were in college, like or like if I were in a dorm or like an apartment with roommates, like I feel like that would have been beneficial as well. Just doing everything in bulk so you're always out of someone's way. Because if you're having 5 meals a day and you're in the kitchen 5 times a day, like I feel like everyone's going to get annoyed at that point. Um, but I do think like even in a college dorm apartment setting, like making sure like the people around you understand what you're doing would definitely be a lot more beneficial.
Absolutely. I think back to when Rachel Forsyth first started working with me. She was a college student living in the dorms, and
Mhm.
she did a lot of what you said, like packing things in bulk.
Yeah.
And she was able to use like the plug-in skillet and stuff like
Yeah.
that in her
Yeah.
room. So
Mhm.
some of those things became like a big staple for her. So
Yeah.
is it more difficult? Absolutely, because you guys don't have, you know, your typical, full kitchen to work through everything, but it definitely can be done. Also, in terms of roommates, my roommates were, I only had two in college, but they were really respectful of
Yeah.
sleep for the
Oh,
most
okay.
part. But I would say sometimes the other guys in the hall were not. So
Yeah.
that was always kind of difficult. Now, I didn't necessarily prep for bodybuilding contests in college, but I was a track athlete. So when people did, wreck our sleep, those were always the guys that like didn't play sports,
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
basically all they had to do was study
And party.
and party if they wanted to, if they
Yeah.
wanted to study. So there was that. But I would say like one thing that I thought about doing was wearing earplugs and then
Oh,
I actually wanted to say on this podcast that always seems like a good idea, but when you start thinking like fire alarms, smoke detectors, like
oh yeah.
you really don't want to cover up that sense. So the thought is always to do that, but definitely don't do that because it
Yeah.
can be like pretty dangerous. But I would say there were times where it was like me and three other guys in our hall were like, yo,
Right.
we got to talk to Travis over here because he's keeping us all up.
So
So,
loud. Yeah.
so we always said, like, good communication, just letting people know what you're going through. And for me, I always had that 1 or 2 nights a week that was like, if
Yeah.
my sleep could go smoothly, like this would be great. And I
Right.
know one of the nights was Thursday night, which is
Oh,
like
yep.
usually a big party night for a lot of people. So,
Yep.
I was like, guys, if I could sleep on Thursday, like that would be
Yeah.
great. Or
Like everything
Thursday night,
quiet a little. Yeah.
Friday
Um,
morning.
yeah. And I would say like, especially because so with family, like I would always pick one day I wanted to sleep in because I do think like I never get my 8 hours of sleep, which is really bad in terms of like what your body responds to in a prep or out of a prep. Um, but there's always one day where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get my 8 hours. I'm gonna sleep until 7, and something will happen where like my family's up talking to my family in Lebanon, like screaming because they can't talk quietly. So it's just like it's over. So at that point, it's just like a matter of just getting used to everybody, like you said, and then just communicating like, hey, like next Saturday I would love to sleep. So if you guys could
Mhm.
just quiet down.
Sometimes you do have to pick your battles like
Yeah,
that. Just like you said, your parents aren't going to hang up the phone. And
right.
if you're just going to lay there mad, you may as well just get up, right?
That's what I usually do. I'm just like, all right, day starting.
Yep. And roll with the punches. Well, I think this
Exactly.
was a good one to cover because a
Mhm.
lot of people in college are definitely going to deal with these holdups. So thanks
100%.
for watching, and we will see you guys for the next one.